Well, good morning, everybody. So today is the 26th of September, and everything's pretty good in Les Sables d'Olonne. Sometimes you have good days and bad days, but today's another day. And everything's pretty quiet on the home front with the fleet. There's not a lot going on. The tweets are pretty specific, not too much mention of food, more about temperatures and lack of wind and so on. But Sterner's wish came true. Day before yesterday, I think they said they wanted more breeze. Now they've got it because yesterday was Motor Day. Okay, Mondays is Motor Days, and some people don't understand or realise that can take place. I don't think I mentioned it on the tracker. I mentioned it on the Q&A. Every Monday, all the entrants can actually run their motors for up to 15 minutes, maximum of 15 minutes in gear with the propeller turning. It's up to them to decide when they want to do that. And the idea is it's all about safety. So there are some situations in man overboard deals where the motor may be required. And if the propeller, a lot of them are folding propellers or feathering propellers, if they haven't been engaged for some time, and bearing in mind this leg will take 5-6 weeks or so, sometimes they don't open up. So you go to use your motor and they're actually locked. They won't actually throw the blades out. So we allow everyone to run their motor for 15 minutes. And Sterner's problem was that they finally got the breeze and they were surfing at like 18 knots or something. And when you do that, that's so far above hull speed that if you actually turn your motor on and put it in gear, it's not good for the gearbox. So they were complaining. But anyway, they'll get over it. They'll have to maybe wait till next week to run their motor. And Galiana had a smelly cockpit. They couldn't work out what was going on, and they found a flying fish inside the cockpit locker festering in the heat. So that was pretty interesting for them. Anyway, back to the tracker, and we've got, if we start the back end of the fleet, Godspeed, as predicted. They've got breeze and doing 6.3 knots and 155 miles in the last 24 hours. So happy about that. Coming last everywhere, but that's not such an issue. We will officially give them their decision on the issue of stopping and making repairs. And that's sort of been decided, but we have to send it to them first, and then we'll notify everyone here what that was. So moving right along, and so they're currently, just to give you a distance from the mid fleet, say Explorer, next one on the list, just over 700 miles behind. So that's maybe 4 days, 4 and a bit days, 5 days or something, depending on what's happening. So not too bad. The middle fleet have got plenty of breeze, so they're starting to truck along a bit. Let's just build this up. Not the middle fleet. This is actually the tail enders, really, with Godspeed, an exceptional case. But you can see there, it's all from the northeast. That's where we're expecting it. Fantastic sailing. Sea state will be about 2.5 to 3.5 meters or something. And when you've got this orange through here, it's around, it's in the 28 knot realm. So it's plenty of breeze. And when you're going 10 knots the other way, it's just perfect. You get 15 knots across the deck. But temperatures will be building up a bit. So, and we got the names in now. So if there is room to drop in the name, the program automatically comes up. But you can see here with, why am I not getting anything here? There it is. You can see with Sterner, they don't have their name there because there's no room to put it. If the name popped up, it'd blanket out Explorer. So when they get free into the ocean, and in fact, if I build that up, you'll see their name should pop up. There we go, Sterner. So we got names now. That helps everyone a little bit. So that's cool. So Explorer, 8.7 knots, happy to be there. 193-mile day, which is all very good. Still holding 13th on everything and 4th in class. So Sterner doing 8.2 knots, 203 nautical mile day. So they're actually still moving faster than Explorer, but it's a nominal thing. White Shadow, 7.7, 198-mile day. They have pulled away a little bit from Explorer, so they're doing okay. And Evrika, 6.6, 193. So they're all moving in unison and all very happy with where they're at, I'm sure. So coming down to Galiana, and we were always interested in the gap with Explorer, I think it was, measuring off to Galiana, 275 miles. So they pulled out a little bit more distance on that. So Galiana's doing okay, but they might be slowing down a bit now. Oh, no, still doing 7.6. They've certainly got a lot less breeze. So The crew are still pushing hard. They've probably got 15 to 22 knots or something, something like that. It's softening off as they go further down, and they managed 166 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. So not too bad. Triana looks like a soft spot, but they're still doing 9.2. Crikeys. They must have have their underwear up in the rigging as well, or all their washing. Keep pushing on. So 206-mile day. So that's pretty impressive. And happy to be there, I'd say. They're running 8th in line on the 16 IRC and 1st in adventure class. Absolutely way ahead of everyone in adventure class, that's for sure. And Neptune shooting across to the west, 7.4 knots right now, and there's not a lot of breeze, so they've obviously got a big asymmetric up or something. Did 100 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. They're going slow through here, not so much in the wind shadow from the Verdes. It's just that it's starting to soften off as they get further south. So let's just have a look at a couple of things here, just an overall picture before we start talking about the leaders. I'll get the grids in here. So then coming down, of course, the leaders are all now well and truly deep into the doldrums. And that bridge that Penjut looked like they had has just disappeared really quickly. They weren't able to keep up with it, and the conditions changed. So all interesting. The Spirit of Quip, 8.2 knots, 192 in the last 24 hours. So that's pretty reasonable. And they're closing the gap now to Maiden and Translated, both on top of each other, but Maiden's only doing 3.1 knots and 100 miles. So the Spirit of Quip, 192. So they took a bit out there, and Translated pretty much the same, 114 miles, doing 4.2. So they're in the doldrums, and it's going to be challenging. It's a lot of luck involved here. Spirit of Helsinki, the same, 3.4 knots and 89 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. Penjuik, she should have been moving okay, 144 miles in the last 24 and 6.7 knots. So they're having to work really hard. This is where it gets really frustrating. I remember in 1990 when I went through the doldrums, it was horrible. You just can't sleep. Your boat's just drifting around. You can't get steerage. And then all of a sudden you got 30 knots, 35 knots, and bang. So they're all on the ball and trying to squeak every bit. If we just pull this out a bit, Penjuik's very close to the trades here. So not far to go for Penjuik, quite a way for Spirit of Helsinki, and then the Spirit of, the other guys as well. It's very confused, but I got to say, generally speaking, it's all pretty kind here. It's not as big as it could have been, and I think they've all done pretty well to make the distance they have across the line. So let's just, hang on, bang, that was a mistake. I had for those that didn't pick that up, I had the weather not set on today's weather. So that's probably been on that from the very beginning. Okay. So now you can see what's going on. So Penjuik is actually still hanging in there and right on the edge of the trades. That's why she's doing 6.7. So I think she's already through. And Helsinki, not headwinds, that's not showing right. If there's a fair bit of breeze there, but she wouldn't have that breeze. She wouldn't have that boat speed if that breeze was actually there. The Spirit of Quip, as we said, that looks about right. They've got an easterly going down there and Translated. I mean, this is amazing because there is actual real movement of the wind there. There's pressure gradients and wind. There's not so much in the way of doldrums by the look of this, but it's very hard to predict this. As I was saying a couple of days ago, there's not a lot of stations floating buoys, drifting buoys to give the data to put into the computer modelling. But nonetheless, this is where the action is right here and now. And Outlaw sitting over there, not much breeze, 2.6. That makes sense. Galliana has got the breeze. Just going back into real-time weather. So let's just bounce the doldrums through. I'll build it up one more time because this lead pack is the one that's the most interesting. In fact, that doesn't show a very good. I'll leave it at this scale, and I'm just going to push it through. Penjuik looks like they're going to hold there. The Spirit of Helsinki, not so much. So this is midnight, and then it's opening up. But I reckon it's looking like Penjuik may have a break now. I'd say that they'll hang on to that. They'll keep going. Spirit of Helsinki's got challenges to get through. Translated again, they'll be drifting around for a day or two, so you might see Penduic just clean out now, and then it's still opening up. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. It's very hard to predict these ones, but I think Penduic's through, and Spirit will probably lose half a day or so, or maybe 100 miles or so on this whole thing before they get through, maybe more. Very hard to predict. So before I look at the leaderboard, I just want to go back here to just check out Explorer and so on in the real-time weather. Now that we've corrected the position of the weather, yeah, it's not that much difference. If we come forward a bit, they've still got the breeze going down. Trade winds are holding in, so yeah, that's not going to do much of a difference there. So all good there. Now just come over the leaderboard, just explain a bit more. We just Lutz and I just checked again yesterday on a couple of things. This is on Line Honours, very simple. If you're playing around the leaderboard, stack top to bottom, and I think everyone saw where that is. The interesting one, again, a bit more info on the IRC situation. If we click this one, it's got this is actually VMG from the start, right? And so that means this is the average speed for Translated 9 all the way from start day, September 10, to now. Okay, and so that's a VMG of about 7.3 knots. And on that basis, they'd arrive on about 19th of October, and that's their corrected time. There was one little thing that we didn't show you. If you go for recent, okay, recent is in the last 24 hours. So that's their average speed or average velocity made good in the last 24 hours. And you see it changes the estimated arrival time, estimated finish time, the 17th of October, because they're moving faster in the last 24 hours than they have been over the whole trip. Now, that'll stand out a lot more for some of the other slower ones, like we'll go to Explorer. Hang on, where's Explorer? Translate Godspeed, Galiano, and we're not going any further. Neptune, Godspeed, Penduic, Galiana, Explorer, right up here. So recent Explorer is actually making very good average speeds, doing 8 knot average in the last 24 hours. So that's not too bad. And she would be in 5th position at that if she could maintain that average speed, which she won't, but it means they'd be on October the 21st. And then if I go back to from the start, you can see the average from the start for Explorer. I've got to find it now. It's right down the bottom here. It's only 5.2 knots. Okay, so, and the suggested arrival date at that average speed of 3rd of November. So they're obviously going to arrive in time because they'll keep a higher average speed as every time they're in the trades and tracking along. So, so just remember that you've got your velocity made good from the start or from recent, and then over here you've got IRC or Line Honours, and that'll give you all the information you need. So that's all pretty good. I think that's all I can really tell you about today. Keep an eye on the tweets, and there will be calls coming through. We'll put one of the calls each day up on Facebook and so on, with a photographic compilation at the back of that with bits, so you can see that, and it'll get it onto YouTube, because I know we've got a lot of people on YouTube watching on that. Thanks for those that are subscribing on YouTube, because we've now got 3,300 subscribers, and we only had about 1,800 not so long ago, so that's cool. And the same with Facebook. We're just going to roll over to 13,000 likes on Facebook. Still a long way from the Golden Globe, where we had 65,000 or something. So if you haven't liked or subscribed or something like that, please do it. It's all good to see. So thanks a lot, and we will see you tomorrow. See you later.